After losing two late opportunities to pick up points in the East, the Harwich Mariners responded in style on Wednesday with an 11-1 shellacking of the YD Red Sox today. The team packed up and headed off Cape for a trip to Wareham and are ready to pick up right where the team left off, looking to close the gap to first place. Hello, everybody, and welcome into the broadcast booth here at Spillane Field. I'm Tyler Henry, joined by my broadcast partner Tim Foley. And Tim, things have been going very well for the Mariners after a bit of a slow start out of the gate. In the team's last 13 games, they are 9-3-3 and are really starting to open up a bit of a lead between the YD Red Sox and themselves, trying to catch Brewster. But again, about 2 weeks left in the season. It's all about finding a place in those top two spots, and Harwich well on their way to maintaining enough momentum to do that.
They're certainly on their way. They're going to face off against the West a few more times in the coming days, but I believe there's 3 home-and-homes to close out the season against Orleans, Brewster, and Chatham. So to be able to take series like that, particularly against a Brewster team that has had your number all season long, it's going to be a very important matchup. But here we are today. The Harwich Mariners are going to look to continue the stretch they've been on. As you've mentioned, they've looked really good. The last game the other day before the off day was a feel-good win for the team after having 2 rough ones the days before on Monday and Tuesday with that tie against YD, and then losing in the fashion they did in the 9th inning against Bourne. So I think we can expect a bit of attitude as we've seen from them with that last YD game here today.
Yep, the Harwich Mariners, of course, catching up a little bit after the long home stint to start their season. They will be playing a couple of consecutive games on the road, including one here at Wareham, and we are just about ready to go. First pitch is on its way to Press Kavanaugh, and it's in there for a called strike. Let's run down the lineup for the Harwich Mariners today. Press Kavanaugh leads things off, playing out in right field, followed by catcher Tatum Levens, third baseman Brock Wilkin, and your first baseman Carter Putz in the cleanup spot today. Batting fifth and playing left is Josh Hood, then DH Dylan Phillips, center fielder Jordan Beck, shortstop Zach Preisner, and second baseman Matt McDermott. It's ball one delivered here to Press Kavanaugh. The pitcher today on the other side of things will be Jack Noble for the Wareham Gatemen, and the righty looking to try to help Wareham build a little bit of momentum of their own. A very tight race right now for that second playoff spot out in the West. Swing and a miss here for Kavanaugh. Jack Noble ahead 1-2.
Yeah, it really is a tighter race out in the West, except it's just a race for second, being how Bourne is so far ahead of everybody. It's going to be interesting down the stretch to see how the standings match up, especially with the teams not playing the same amount of games.
1-2 pitch from Noble on the way. Swing and a miss for Kavanaugh. He goes down on strikes, and that'll be the first out of the day here for the Wareham Gatemen. Let's take a look at the defense here for the Gatemen. Crooks gets the start behind the plate today. Morales over at first. Tommy Troy at second. Jim Jarvis is your starting shortstop. James gets the start at third base. Diodati, your left fielder. Ferguson center, and Gonzalez gets the start in right today. Of course, all of those guys playing behind their starting pitcher in Jack Noble, who so far so good through one batter. Now he'll face off against Tatum Levens. And this lineup a bit different than what we've seen for the Harwich Mariners, always evolving a little bit throughout the course of the backstretch of the season. But some of these new arrivals have really added some offense to a Mariners lineup that was already looking potent at this point in the season.
Yeah, they have. And a guy I look at in particular when we talk about this is Dylan Phillips and the way that he's been able to play recently for Harwich. He's had a couple of excellent outings, including what he's been able to do on the defensive side of things. So to be able to pick up a guy like that from K-State is huge for this team down the stretch.
Absolutely. Breaking ball in for a called strike here to Tatum Levens. Count evens at 1-1. Levens digs in from that left side. Looking to get something started here for a Mariners team that is coming off of an offensive explosion against YD. He'll take ball 2. That'll make it a 2-1 count. Of course, the Mariners had a couple of tough days prior to that. They were in a position to pick up a big-time victory over the same YD Red Sox, and then a Dominic Keegan home run turned that win into a tie. They were in a position to tie the Bourne Braves, a 6th spot in the 9th, turned that tie into a loss. But they come back and they put up 11 on the YD Red Sox, end up getting deep into their bullpen. In that game, the Red Sox used 6 different pitchers, including a position player. And ultimately, it turns into a glorified impending darkness forfeit. Here it's a 2-2 count right now to the aforementioned Tatum Levens. Pitch on the way, and that is going to be a base given here. Walk issued to Levens, who continues reaching base safely in pretty much every game he plays in.
It almost feels like it has been every game. He's been excellent so far this season for Harwich, typically playing in that leadoff spot. We saw Kavanaugh here today playing leadoff, and an interesting move from Coach Englert. But Levens, he continues to get on base.
And that'll bring up Brock Wilkin, who's been tearing the cover off the ball all season long. Again, the Mariners looking to start off hot here. on the road against a Western Division they played very well against this year. This first pitch to Wilkins going to be in the dirt. That's going to get past Crooks, and it allows Levens to move into scoring position here with just one out. So an early wild pitch here puts a runner in scoring position for the M's. Let's take a closer look here at Jack Noble, product of Upland from Long Beach State. So far, so good this season. A 1.42 ERA in 3 appearances. The righty has thrown 6 complete innings. He has 9 strikeouts compared to only 4 walks. So not a guy that puts a lot of guys on for free.
Yeah, and Harwich eats that up whenever they get those opportunities. They've been stealing a lot more bases lately.
Certainly have. Wilkin will watch this one off the outside part of the plate. Count goes to 2-0.
Yeah, they're actually second in the league right now when it comes to stealing bases, Harwich. 34 right now, only behind Brewster, who's been a mile ahead of everybody.
And for as good as Brewster has been, this is a Harwich Mariners team that's only a game out of first place if you look at the standings right now in the East. And we'll have an interesting point after this next pitch, which is down and away to Wilkin. That makes it a 3-0 count. This is a case of 2 teams that are currently in second place in their respective divisions. Harwich is 1 game behind the Brewster Whitecaps. This Wareham team, 9.5 games back from Bourne. Bourne Braves currently running away with it. It's been a boat race out in the West. Noble sets, kicks, and deals. This one in the dirt, so 4 straight pitches. No interest in pitching to Brock Wilkin, and that'll put him aboard here. 2 walks in a row for Carter Putz. And I'll tell you what, Tim, pick your poison if you want to put Wilkin on and give Putz an opportunity to drive in a few more runs.
Yeah, Putz has every bit of fear that Brock Wilkin instills in a lot of pitchers. Carter Putz has been doing a lot of the same recently for Harwich. He's been an RBI machine these past few games.
He certainly has. And you look at the top part of this Harwich Mariners lineup. Here's what you get. All-star, 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 MLB draft pick. Not a bad top 5 in the lineup. And oh yeah, by the way, Dylan Phillips, who slots into that 6 hole, has been tearing the cover off the baseball as well. It's a Harwich lineup. At this point, there really is no hole, and that's kind of the biggest difference that we've seen from the early rendition of the Mariners early on here in the 2021 season. First pitch misses for a ball here to Putz, who stands back in, batting from that righty's batter's box. Runners on first and second, 1 away here in the inning. Noble sets, looks the runner back to second. Here at Spillane Field. Checks him again, brings the pitch home. That one's swung on and taken out to right field, tracking it over near foul territory. That is going to drop. They call it fair. It towed the line, and that is going to hold the runner up at third. Levens holds, but a great break for the Mariners as that ball was drifting towards the right field line near that foul pole. It looked awfully close over there, but the home plate umpire signals foul or fair. And that's going to load the bases here for Josh Hood.
Yeah, I mean, you had the entire Wareham bullpen all signaling foul, of course, but that thing from our angle did look to be fair. Right on that line is fair territory. A call was made, and a really nice job by Carter Putz. That thing really was just drifting towards foul territory, and it just found some space. And they're having a conversation about it now, the home plate umpire and the skipper here for Wareham.
Yeah, it looks like Don Sneddon wants to come out and have a word right now. But again, I mean, it's one of those calls. You don't have the luxury of replay here in the Cape Cod Baseball League, so no chance to really overturn it in that regard, which means most of these conversations stay conversations. So Hood still waiting for this long talk to be over. Don Sneddon pleading his case, but again, not something that you're going to overturn. And now it looks like we're going to have a umpires conference on the hill.
There's been a few calls where they've come out of a huddle this season, like 1 or 2, where they actually have come out and they've signaled the other way because perhaps one person catches something. But I think in this case, we saw both the home plate umpire and the first base umpire each signal fair, and they'll make that call.
Yep, and that is the call. So here it is. Bases loaded. Tatum Levens stands on third base. Wilkin at second. Putz on first. And it's going to be Josh Hood at the plate. Hood has had some of the best games pretty much all year for this Harwich Mariners team. He is very all or nothing in the batter's box, but when he's got it cooking, he's got it cooking. And a chance to pick up some more RBIs here for the Mariners, looking to take an early lead here in the top of the first. Noble's going to have to be awfully careful here. The righty facing off against the right-handed hitter in Hood. First pitch on the way, in there for a called strike. Not wasting any time trying to pound the zone here. Jack Noble has worked his way into a jam. He did this himself. Hit Tatum Levens, walked Brock Wilken, gave up the single to Carter Putz. The 0-1. That's in the dirt. That's going to skip off the chest plate of Crooks. The run will score. Everybody moves up a station, and the Mariners take a 1-0 lead on the second wild pitch of the inning.
Something tells me that this is a bit of a repeat of the Red Sox game last night. So many wild pitches just impacting the game. That's two that helped to bring Tatum Levens from first all the way to third base. As Harwich in a good spot here early on, you really cannot slip against these Mariners batters and base runners too. They don't make a whole lot of mistakes, and they take advantage of it when you do.
Well, and if you're Jack Noble, this is your nightmare because you just lost the double play to get out of the inning. So now you're going to have to come back and get 2 outs and still 2 runners in scoring position. And he sails this pitch over the fence, holding up his Wilken, and that may have been wise because that pitch, it must have slipped out of the hand of Noble. That thing sailed over the head and the glove of the jumping Crooks. And Crooks is now going to come out and have a word with him. And here comes Don Snedden to talk it over with the hurler as well.
Yeah, you definitely need to have a conversation. Calm the guy down. That's the third wild pitch this inning that has moved the runners around. I mean, that one didn't move anyone around because it was a funky hop off the back of the fence. Normally these chain link fences, they like to eat the balls that get thrown right at them, but must have hit a pole or something right behind it, and came back to Crooks behind the plate pretty quickly. So fortunate break for Wareham, but still not out of any danger.
It's also one of those situations where Crooks doesn't stay low trying to block a ball that's high. He's already standing up, and he had a chance to get a really good jump back to the fence to try to pick it up. So it would have been close to the plate. Wilken decides to hold up. Of course, Brock Wilken, for all of his talents, he does have a couple of stolen bases this year, but he's not your prototypical stolen base machine. So he holds up at third. Carter Putz holds up at second. The count is 2-1 here to Josh Hood, who has had plenty of time to think about what this next pitch might be. No action right now, up and warming out in that Wareham bullpen. Obviously still just a 1-run ball game in the top of the first, but you get the feeling the Mariners could just continue piling on runs the way that they did against the YD Red Sox before their off day.
And it's something that Harwich has gotten a lot better at as the season's gone along, is early offense, first inning, second inning, getting on multiple runners and driving them around.
2-1 pitch. Hood flares this one right at the third baseman. It's going to be misplayed. That gets by everybody. Nobody covering third base, and that's going to allow Putz to move up. Now nobody covering second base. It's like a toddler soccer game out here. Everybody running after the ball in bunches. No one knows what's going on. And when the dust settles, the Mariners score their second run. They've still got runners on second and third. It's a 2-0 ball game. And that, Tim, was a defensive breakdown of the worst variety.
When it rains, it pours. I mean, that was not pretty from Wareham. Really just of a situation where the third baseman, Cameron James, he tried to pick that thing up and throw it onto first really before he had it in his glove. So it hurt the team, and Wareham really a nightmare first inning here.
First pitch to Dylan Phillips misses way up and outside. And yeah, it was a ball that probably should have been scooped up by James, the third baseman, who was charging in. It got under his glove. Jarvis ran back to get it. But James also turned and ran for it, so there was nobody covering third. Putz moves up, and by the time somebody found it necessary to cover second, Hood had already decided to take that base. And now another ball, this one up and outside, and I'm assuming that's ruled in air. We can't see it on the scoreboard here because while they do have a brand new digital scoreboard at Spillane Field, it is not wide enough for anything other than the 9 innings and the run tally.
Yeah, we'll have to get the live stats going somewhere.
In the meantime, Phillips chomping at the bit right now with a chance to continue what's been a pretty good stretch for him to start his season. Swings and misses here to make it a 2-1 count. But Jack Noble is shaky here early and still waiting on that official ruling, but good spot for Phillips here. Runners on second and third, and now appears it will be ruled a hit. So rule it a single, and then I don't know how you rule him getting to second without an
base. I don't know.
I don't think you can steal a base with a ball batted in play. Either way, it puts the Mariners in a brilliant situation, and now Phillips working with a 3-1 count. He is likely very eager here as Jack Noble has just not been able to find the strike zone all night. Noble sets from the stretch, the 3-1. And that is ball 4. So that's going to be the third batter put on for free in the inning, and it loads the bases for Jordan Beck.
I mean, the last time we really saw something like this, if you're Harwich, was that Hyannis game where First 4 batters got on, then you had back-to-back strikeouts, and then the next 5 batters got on. And so far, 5 of the first 6 batters have gotten on here for Harwich.
And they have a chance to bust this game wide open. A 2-0 lead, the bases loaded, Jordan Beck at the dish. And a guy who has been struggling on the mound right now, Jack Noble. First pitch. Beck is swinging away, comes up empty. And again, this is not a guy in Jack Noble that's been struggling this season. Has a sub-2 ERA coming into this game through 3 appearances and 6 complete innings. 9 strikeouts and only 4 walks. He'd only given up 1 earned run prior to this game. He's already tripled that total here. The 0-1 offering to Beck. Swing and a miss, and he's ahead here. And this could be a big confidence booster for Noble, who, I mean, if you look at it from Wareham's perspective, they get out of this inning with just the 2 runs given up. That's a massive victory for the Gatemen.
You certainly take that with the 3 walks and 2 hits that were allowed in this inning.
Beck will have to get awfully protective here, standing in that righty's batter's box, facing the right-handed pitcher here. Here comes the 0-2. That'll miss outside. Good hold off by Beck. Count goes to 1-2.
Yeah, Beck, he's been playing well lately for Harwich. This is a spot here where he really does not want to be left out of the fun that's being had here in this first inning.
And again, it seems like everybody 1 through 9 has been getting it going here for a Mariners offense that has really come up to the level of its pitching staff. One of the most dangerous teams in the CCBL, not named the Bourne Braves over the last 20 days. 1-2 pitch, breaking ball in there. Strike 3, Beck can only watch it go by, and that is the second out of the inning.
Yeah, if you're Noble, that settles you down a lot because, yes, the bases are loaded, but now you just need to worry about striking a guy in Zach Preisner out, who doesn't exactly have the greatest pedigree when it comes to being able to swing the bat. Just 203 on the season, but a chance here for Noble to get out of the inning, but also a chance for Preisner to really do some damage and contribute in a way where he's been lacking in a bit.
And Preisner's had some big games recently. It seems like he's starting to come about, but on the season, not quite as aggressive, and you see it there as he takes the first pitch in there for a called strike on the breaking ball.
He did have that home run the other day against Bourne.
Yep, had a single and reached on a walk, although no RBIs in that big game against the Whitey Red Sox. They got a couple of guys going. 0-1 pitch, that'll miss upstairs, count even at 1 apiece. And the lights are on here at Spillane Field, but there's still a decent amount of natural light out here. Partly cloudy. This game getting started at about 6:45. Harwich Mariners, again, looking to break this game wide open. Bases loaded, 2 away here in the top of the first. Big inning for Noble. 1-1 to Preisner. That'll miss inside. Count goes to 2-1. Harwich, of course, here on the road, rocking the gray pants with the navy blue stripe and navy tops, red numerals trimmed in white for the Wareham Gatemen. It's Red Shirt Friday. Rocking the white pants, red shirts with the Cape Cod across the front in white trimmed in black. White numerals trimmed in black on the back as well. Here comes the 2-1. That misses up and away. Count goes to 3-1, and Preisner knows this pitch is probably going to be in the zone. 3-1. He's got nowhere to put him, does Noble. This could be a very big pitch for the Mariners.
I mean, if you're Preisner here, you almost think about holding off on it. It's been a very difficult time for Jack Noble to try and locate the strike zone.
Yep. Noble's only 2 outs of the inning have been strikeouts, but aside from that, he has missed a lot. He'll set, stares in, looks for the pitch, and it's fouled away here by Preisner. So the count goes full here. And Preisner's got his back against the wall with the bases loaded. Wareham, a team that, like everyone else in the West, aside from Bourne and Hyannis, has had a chance to run away with that second playoff spot, but nobody wants to do it. Wareham comes into this game at 9-13-4. They have the same number of points on the season as an 11-14 Katuitt team. The East hoarding most of the wins. Payoff pitch, late strike 3 called. Preisner can't believe it, and it's going to be back-to-back looking strikeouts as the Mariners load the bases, but Harwich able to tack 2 on the board. They lead it 2-0. To the home half of the first we go. You're listening here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners radio network as rain is quickly approaching. We are taking a look at the radar, and while it's all sunshine off in the distance right now in front of us, 100% chance of rain coming in here in the next hour or so as we scramble to get all of our gear protected. Right now it's a 1-1 count on the leadoff hitter here for the Wareham Gatemen.
Yeah, we turn around. It is pretty overcast behind us.
Raindrops quickly falling here at Spillane Field. Count goes to 2-1 here. And let's take a look at the Wareham Gatemen lineup today. Leading it off, it's right fielder Tres Gonzalez, followed by second baseman Tommy Troy. As this ball is sent out to center field, that'll chase all the way back to the fence. Jordan Beck, he's going to have to pick it up on the fly. Runner holds at second, so it's a leadoff double for Tres Gonzalez. And for all the work Harwich did back in that first inning, tying run going to come to the plate here in Tommy Troy. Tommy Troy batting second and playing second base. Left fielder Owen Diodati in the 3-hole today. Cleanup spot goes to first baseman Yohandy Morales, followed by catcher Jimmy Crooks, third baseman Cameron James, DH Kellum Clark, center fielder Cade Fergus, and shortstop Jim Jarvis. For the Harwich Mariners, on the hill today, Spencer Geesting making another start. Again, Harwich still in the early parts of the season, trying to sort out their starting rotation. Geesting looks the runner back to second, brings home the pitch. That'll miss just off the plate. Count goes here to 1-0.
Yeah, if you're Geesting, you haven't had the greatest season. He's had a few good outings, but he's still looking to find some consistency. So good to be able to get a 2-run lead to open up this game.
We'll say, though, arguably his best outing was a start, although this is going to be a rocket to left center. Looking up and making the catch is Beck. The runner will tag. Preisner cuts it off, but it will be for naught as Tres Gonzalez moves up safely into scoring position. He's at third base. So Tommy Troy's retired. Tres Gonzalez reaches third. Owen Diodati will now come to the plate. If you're Tommy Troy, you've done your job here. Taking a look more specifically at some of the numbers here for Harwich hurler Spencer Geesting. This season, the UNC Charlotte product working with a 5.68 ERA as he gets a swing and a miss here for strike one. He does have 12 strikeouts to compare to 12 walks. He's given up the 8 earned runs, only 9 hits coming into this one, but the free base runners, so to speak, have been a bit of an issue for Geesting this year. He comes set, gets another swing and a miss, and another pitch in the dirt here. Owen Diodati really trying to break out the 9-iron and try to dig that out of the dirt. It's all for naught.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who really has been excellent for Wareham, so he's been seeing it well all year, but Geesting, a nice job getting ahead in the count here, and he's going to have to do that all day long against Wareham to try and keep those walk numbers down.
Geesting sets, fires the 0-2. It's going to be fouled off the foot and then the leg of Diodati, who keeps the count at 0-2. Of course, the fourth member of our media team, our very own Colin Casey, has been sent out to the parking lot to grab the umbrella, just to make sure as this weather rolls in that we're able to keep ourselves and all of the important expensive stuff around us clean and nice and dry. The 0-2, swing and a miss. How about that? Spencer Geesting got him 3 straight pitches, all in the dirt. And Owen Diodati, for all his work, unable to lay off.
I was going to say, all of those pitches really were in the dirt, and Diodati did not have any intention on really laying off of any of them. Really nice work by Geesting to continually offer those pitches in a way that looked appetizing to Diodati.
So with Diodati retired, the next man up is cleanup hitter Yohandy Morales. First pitch to him is in the dirt. Unlike his counterpart, he will leave it there. The count starts off at 1-0. Look at the Harwich Mariners defense today. Tatum Levens gets the start behind the dish. Carter Potts, your first baseman. It'll be McDermott at second, Zach Preisner at short, Brock Wilkin at third. As this next offering misses upstairs. Count goes to 2-0. Your outfield, Josh Hood in left, Jordan Beck in center, and Press Kavanaugh, your starting right fielder today.
Yeah, Chris Newell not in the lineup today, so we'll see how that shakeup in the outfield usually will play out.
Breaking ball in there for a called strike, and just like that, Geesting has battled his way back. The count is 2-1.
Because all season long for Harwich, Beck has been the right fielder for these Mariners. He had to come in last game once Newell was switched out.
This ball is swung on and popped a mile high. This will drift into right field. Kavanaugh settles under it and makes the catch for out number 3. So The gatemen get a man right at the gates but can't bring him across to score. It's a 2-0 lead for the Harwich Mariners. They'll be up to bat when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners radio network. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. Harwich Mariners back up to bat here. It'll be the 9-1 and 2-hole hitters. Matt McDermott followed in the lineup by Press Kavanaugh and Tatum Levens. Count currently sits 0-1 to McDermott. And again, just a curious scene unfolding here at Spillane Field. This ball tipped back to the screen. We've got raindrops falling on us. Again, if you look in front of us, nothing but blue skies. A couple of clouds starting to creep in just a bit. You look behind us, not so optimistic. And you can see why the radar is the way that it is. So we'll continue to monitor this, just hoping, as we have all season, that we can get through these first 5 innings. Make sure this game goes official, especially right now for the Mariners holding a 2-run lead. This one will be fouled away. Count stays at 0-2 here on Matt McDermott, doing a good job to fight things off. And McDermott, in a small sample size, another one of those guys that's really kind of become a bit valuable here for the Mariners, trying to slot into that everyday spot. But it's just tough. You've got a lot of really good bats up and down this lineup.
Yeah, you really do. And so that means you have to really be exceptional in that defensive position to justify bringing your bat in the lineup so that you can contribute night in and night out.
Yep, most definitely. This one will miss for a ball here, so back to work for another inning is Jack Noble. He did get roughed up a bit in that first, but for all the problems that happened, only gave up the 1 run. Here he'll get a strikeout. That'll be his 4th of the day as Matt McDermott goes down swinging.
I mean, say what you will about Noble. He's got 4 strikeouts right now.
Yep, he's got 4 strikeouts, and he's only given up the 1 run. Looks like we've got a system coming in. It's going to slam us pretty hard and then disappear from what we're seeing. So hopefully, whatever it is, it might go around, or if it goes over the top, it won't last too long, as Press Kavanaugh, who led off the first inning with a strikeout, is up to bat now.
And it was the last time we were here we had that lightning delay.
There's something about Spillane Field. The Harwich Mariners from 2019 to now just have not been able to play a lot of complete games here. Swing and a miss. And the count now goes to 1-1. Gotta apologize for the spotty play-by-play here, trying to cover up all the gear simultaneously. Doing as much as we can in between innings. I think we've pretty much got it all situated now. This tip pitch is fouled away, and the count goes to 1-2.
Yeah, I'm content to let my laptop get rained on. It's happened before, it'll happen again.
Oh, boy. You are a lot less protective of yours than I am of mine. Either way, working out of the windup here with a 1-2 count. Pitch on the way. Kavanaugh pops this up. It'll get over our heads and back out of play. So the count stays at 1-2. And, yeah, for The hit batter for the 2 walks for the bloop single. A couple of hits that drove in a couple of runs and a wild pitch that brought one in across. Noble's bounced back really well here.
Yeah, so far has looked good in this inning here.
Looking for strikeout number 5 with a 1-2 count. Pitch on the way. High fastball up above the letters. Count goes to 2-2.
I like that pitch there from Noble. 1-2 count. Try to get a guy to chase it up high. Don't want to leave him anything he can swing at, be defensive about. Nice offering there from the righty.
2-2 pitch on the way. This one's popped up and back behind the screen here, so the count will stay at 2-2. A lot of long at-bats in the early goings of this one.
Yeah, I think similar idea with the pitch there. Another fastball high, trying to get him to chase after it. And this time, Kavanaugh was able to get a piece of it.
Kavanaugh being very defensive, trying to avoid a second strikeout on the day. Left-handed batter stands in, facing the righty and Noble. Pitch on the way. This is fouled right back into the face of Crooks.
Press Kavanaugh has been one of the toughest outs at the plate this season, in my opinion, for Harwich, with the way that he has been able to battle off balls. I know we've mentioned that home run at-bat he's had in Chatham a few times, but really just every at-bat, it feels like he's fouling off 3-4 pitches to try and drive up these pitch counts.
Part of the reason his on-base percentage, why he was named to the All-Star team. Here he'll pop one up. This one drifting back towards the bullpen, near foul territory. That's going to get down and out of play. So the count stays 2-2, giving chase there Morales and Gonzalez. First baseman and right fielder trying to converge on that. Nothing doing.
I mean, his on-base percentage, astronomical right now. .437 for Press Kavanaugh.
And that's in a good sample size, too. Kavanaugh's been with the team for a while. This is his 18th game as a Harwich Mariner. So to have a on-base percentage of nearly 500 at this point in the season, it's absolutely insane. And he'll look to extend on that here. Part of the reason he is the leadoff man for the Mariners. 2-2 pitch. That is in there. Called strike 3. Kavanaugh has a unfortunate smile on his face. Not too happy about the call, but that's going to be strikeout number 5 for Noble.
Yeah, pretty low. Kavanaugh thought he had a good enough look at that one to let it fly by, but home plate umpire thought it was right at the knees, rung him up, and that's 5 strikeouts now, 4 straight for Jack Noble.
I want to go back really quickly here to the, I'm going to call it a Little League double for Josh Hood. Quite possibly the weirdest ruling that we've ever seen, as the first pitch is in the dirt here. That'll miss Tatum Levens. It was ruled a single, but there was never any explanation in the official scorebook as to how he got to second. So it's not ruled a double. It's not ruled a single and an error. You just look at the scorebook, and he reaches first base and then teleports to second, I suppose, as this pitch misses low as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about baseball. You see so many things. You can go to a baseball game and see something you've never seen for the first time, really every time you go to the field. And that's certainly something that falls in that situation there. And so for Hood, it's a single, but he did his job. He helped to move runners around and put some runs on the board for Harwich.
Noble getting back to work here, the 2-0. That will miss inside, so he falls behind 3 balls and no strikes, and this is the part of the order that gave him trouble last time. As everybody from Levens, who's at the plate now, all the way down to Dylan Phillips, were able to reach base.
Does help this time around. You do have those 2 outs instead of just the one that you were able to get on Kavanaugh before.
2 away, 3-0 pitch. That misses inside. It's going to be a 4-pitch walk issued here to Tatum Levens. So Levens hit by a pitch the first time. Second time around, he is walked.
Yeah, and unsurprisingly so, another guy who's just on-base percentage is fantastic, sitting at about .398. It really is just, Harwich feels like they have 3 leadoff guys in Levens, Newell, and Kavanaugh who just get on base at an unreal clip.
Feels like they have 3 cleanup guys too, Wilkin, Putz, and Hood. I mean, again, this has turned into one of the more potent lineups you'll see here on the Cape this summer. Speaking of Brock Wilkin, he stands in now. First pitch to him is a ball, and that is now 5 consecutive pitches out of the strike zone offered to Brock Wilkin. He is not seeing anything that he's going to offer at, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's taking until he gets a strike. Noble sets from the stretch, 2 away here in the inning, looking to get 1 more out. They will appeal. And I guess they say he went. It looked pretty convincing that Wilkin did not offer at that pitch, but it's going to be a 1-1 count nonetheless.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite too much what that call was there. A tight one, sure.
maybe the confidence booster that Noble needs is he'll turn and, I suppose, fake a throwback to first. Looked like he just wanted a second to reset and decided to throw in the spectacle of pretending to toss the ball over to the first baseman. Morales right now holding on Tatum Levens. Reasonable lead for Levens right now. Pitch on the way, the 1-1. That's in the dirt. Still no pitches in the strike zone to Brock Wilken. That's now 7 out of the zone for those of you counting at home.
Yeah, I mean, he's second on the team right now in walks, but only behind the guy who just walked on base and has already been walked twice. And so he really is something that pitchers fear.
Pick-off move over to first. Skips in the dirt. Good stop there by Morales. We've seen that a time or two where a ball will get back to the fence. And really, that's kind of a dead zone here. There's a lot of space between the line and the fence. So that's going to be a guaranteed base on anything that gets by Morales over there at first base. Wilkins stands in, 2-1 the count. Walked his first time up. That'll miss outside. So now 8 consecutive pitches outside of the strike zone here to Brock Wilken. You wonder if he's going to see anything from Noble that he wants to actually swing at all night. Very well may go without. 3-1 the count. Noble kicks and fires. Wilken takes a big cut, fouls it back to the screen, and that'll be a 3-2 count.
Yeah, that's an important pitch for Noble to be able to get. Of course, you don't want to walk him because, as mentioned, it feels like Harwich has these 3 cleanup batters because you have Putz on deck, Hood in the hole. And this is just not a good situation here for Noble. Of course, with 2 outs, you just got to try and focus on getting 1 more strike here.
Of course, the sample size is awfully small. You could argue there's a case to be made for Dylan Phillips to be a 4th cleanup guy in this lineup as well. Right now, it's Wilken at the plate. Runner goes on a 3-2 count. That is ball 4. It's going to be another walk issued. And how about this? This part of the lineup that we've talked about, all the All-Stars and the MLB draft and Josh Hood, all of them have reached base. Just 2 hits for the Mariners so far in this one.
Yeah, and this second time through the lineup for Harwich, it's identical as well. Kavanaugh struck out, and then in back-to-back walks dealt to both Levens and Wilken. It's been an interesting outing here for Noble.
And it looks like we're getting a call to the bullpen. So we will step away. When we come back, we'll have an update on the new pitcher into the game. You're listening here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. New pitcher coming into the game here for the Wareham Gatemen. It will be Blake Soderstrom from Clovis, from the University of Cal State Northridge. And so far, so good for him. He has made 3 appearances, or rather 1 appearance. He went 3 innings, didn't give up a single earned run, struck 1 out, walked 1. So still kind of getting his feet wet here on the Cape. And, well, if the radar's to be believed, everybody's going to be getting more than just their feet wet here in the next 30 to 45 minutes. But so far, things have been able to hold off. We'll see how long that continues for. Luckily, like I said, if we do end up in a delay, it shouldn't take too terribly long, and we should be able to resume baseball afterwards. But really just don't know right now with the sky in a pretty stark contrast right in front of us right now. But for the time being, new pitcher is in for the Wareham Gatemen. As previously mentioned, he'll face Carter Putz. 2 away, runners on first and second here for the Harwich Mariners. Pitch on the way, swung on and taken weakly up the middle. Charging in as the shortstop picks it up, throws to first, almost sails it over the head of Morales, but Morales able to come back and tag a sprinting Carter Putz, and that will end the second, or rather the top of the second. To the home half we go. Still a 2-0 lead for the Mariners here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back here at Spillane Field, Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley as we get set for another inning of action here. Inning number 2, to the home half we go. It'll be the 5, 6, and 7 hitters here for the Wareham Gatemen. Jimmy Crooks, Cameron James, and Kevin Clark, or Kellum Clark rather. And just a weird feel to this game. Harwich has stranded 5 runners already, including 3 in scoring position. Spencer Giesting back out for another inning of work. His first offering is just off the plate to Jimmy Crooks.
Yeah, that's something that was really biting Harwich to start the season and was really something that they could not figure out. And for this team, they've been doing well with that recently, but today, not so much.
Next offering in for a called strike. That'll even the count at 1-1 here on Jimmy Crooks. And malfunction of the aux here. Music playing right before the pitch. Swing and a miss. It apparently does not affect Spencer Giesting. We had the same problem at YD yesterday. We've seen this at a couple of parks. This is kind of a rampant issue here in 2021.
You got to be careful when you're on the aux. That's all I can say.
Fair enough. Giesting stares in for the sign. Here comes the 1-2. That's spiked in the dirt, stopped by Levens. Crooks will simply watch it bounce. Count goes even at 2-2. Again, the sky just really not making a whole lot of sense right now. Again, there's just a sharp line right in front of us between blue skies and dark skies, and then behind us it's starting to lighten up a bit. So still a possibility that this system misses us as this ball popped up. This one could get into the cage, but it's not going to. It'll take a skip off the bleachers as all of us jumped into action, ready for a potential foul ball here in the broadcast booth. Just to give you at home a reminder of where we are today, instead of your typical table down one of the baselines, we are sitting atop the Harwich Mariners' third base dugout in what we affectionately refer to as the Raptor cage. As this next offering from Giesting misses, that'll fill the count. The only thing protecting us from a laser of a foul ball is some loose netting here and a couple of metal poles. Being around metal poles, also not where you want to be if you've got thunder and lightning incoming. As a swing and a miss here, Geesting catching fire. Picks up strikeout number 2. Jimmy Crooks down swinging, 1 away.
And I tell you, that's loose netting with a giant hole right about shin level here. So if somebody fires a laser in our direction, Tyler, I'm just hoping your legs are positioned to prevent mine from getting broken.
Something tells me we don't have insurance. Geesting back to work here. Cameron James steps into the box. His first offering is in the dirt again. Geesting missing low quite a bit here. He's been able to get it back. Hasn't really lost a lot of batters down there, but everything down for Spencer Geesting.
I mean, it really worked for him against Diodati, but you mentioned it. A lot of these pitches have been low. That last at-bat, a full count. A lot of those pitches on pitches in the dirt.
James will foul this one away. That'll even the count at 1-1. And Cameron James, another bat that was not in the lineup the last time these two met. A couple of new faces here, including, I believe, Kellum Clark. Wareham lost a lot of their personnel to Team USA, and then had a couple of guys selected in the Major League Draft. So this is a team that has really turned over a lot of guys throughout the course of the season. 2-1 from Geesting. This is down and away. Count goes to 3-1. Of course, always an adventure here at Spillane Field. Making the trip over the bridge off the Cape here to Wareham. As Geesting fires the 3-1 to Rumbling Thunder, and this one's going to be taken out into right field. Takes a hop. It'll be picked up by Hood, and it's a one-out single for Cameron James to start the Gateman off here in the second.
Yeah, nice piece of hitting there. Was able to square it up pretty well and send a line drive over the hole on the left side. Not a whole lot anybody could really do about that. Not anything anyone could do about that.
So Geesting will get back to work here on Kellum Clark, and as we look behind us now, blue skies again. So for all that talk of 100% chance of rain here in Wareham that was supposed to start about 30 minutes ago, there's still a system off to our left, but again, it all depends on which direction it sweeps. The first pitch, fouled away here by Kellum Clark. 0-1 count here, and what still feels like just a bizarre start to this ball game. A lot of long at-bats, a lot of fouled off pitches. A lot of guys stranded in scoring position. That's been on both sides as Wareham left Tres Gonzalez on third base. He was able to get there with just one away, but a quick strikeout of Owen Diodati and an F9 to Yohandy Morales quickly got Geesting out of the inning. Here he's got a 1-1 count on the DH for the Gateman. Looks the runner back to first, brings home the pitch, and this one's going to be skied high in the air out to left field. Josh Hood settles under it, looks up, and makes the catch for out number 2.
Got a good job pitching to contact there, allowing that one to just hang up there. Then Hood easily able to stride over and make the catch.
So a quick out, that'll bring up Cade Fergus, the center fielder here, hitting in the 8 hole for Wareham. Harwich looking for one more quick out, trying to get their way to the 3rd. Fergus, one of the bats that was in the lineup the last time these two met, as was the bat of shortstop Jim Jarvis. Reasonable lead off first for Cameron James. Quick pickoff move over to first as Geesting wants to check the runner before delivering the first pitch to Fergus. Geesting throws back to second, a pickoff move. Now they've got a run down. Tag is down, and did they get him? No! Zach Preisner dropped the baseball. That is unfortunate. Geesting got him dead to rights, lifted his leg, the left-handed pitcher did, and then fired a ball over to first as Cameron James took off for second on a stolen base attempt. They had the run down. It was a good throw. The tag was there in time, but Zach Preisner dropped the ball. And Cameron James now stands in scoring position on second base.
Yeah, an unfortunate break of your Harwich. That was an easy third out, but just didn't go your way there. And, you know, there's been some issues with the errors for this Harwich team when it comes to being able to field the ball.
On the bright side, 2 away in the inning, just one more out left to get as this ball is popped high in the air, and it'll drift back to the backstop. Levens will give it a look and let it drop over. So the count goes 0-1. Of course, on the bright side, there are a lot of, oh, there's some thunder. It's a big one off in the distance here. That is still not letting up. We may be in for some weather yet.
It's all about the lightning. Can you see the lightning?
Absolutely. This is a weak chopper that'll roll foul down that third baseline. A couple of isolated sprinkles starting to hit us. That thunder that I talked about 10 seconds ago, still rolling on.
Somebody just rolled a trash can down a hill.
That is about the feeling that we're getting here as these drops become a little bit less isolated. So we'll get the cover up here in the Raptor cage. And Spencer Giesting will look for a third strike here. Count is 0-2. Giesting comes set, looking in here to Cade Fergus. Pitch on the way. That'll miss in the dirt. Good stop by Levens. Again, if you're Spencer Giesting, one more strike will get you out of this with no damage done. Harwich still holding on to a slim 2-run lead here in Wareham.
You want to see him elevate these pitches a bit more, though. That last one down in the dirt once again.
And again, everything has been down for Spencer Giesting. Gets a wild swing and a miss here. Cade Fergus never lifted his foot. Hacks at the pitch, comes up empty. It's strikeout number 3 for Spencer Giesting, and that'll get the Mariners out of the second. Still a 2-run lead for Harwich as rain begins to fall here in Wareham. You're listening on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Tim Foley as we get set for the third inning of play. Hood swings the first pitch he sees, sends this out to center field, but headed over to pick it up for out number 1 is Cade Fergus, and that's one away.
I mean, it looked good off the bat, but it just kept hanging up there, and easy play for the center fielder Fergus to go and make. But if you're Hood, take solace in the fact that, solid contact off the bat there.
Yep, good efficiency there. 1 pitch, 1 out for the first complete inning of work coming up here for Blake Soderstrom. And that'll bring up Dylan Phillips. Phillips reached on a walk his first time up, facing a new pitcher for the first time. As Soderstrom came in, got a awkward 6-3 of Carter Putz to retire the side in the second. Right now, 0-1 the count. The righty rocks into the windup, brings home the pitch, and it's fouled away again. Rain is falling, but very isolated here at Spillane Field. Oh. 0-2, fouled away again. And we will do it again.
I mean, a small sample size so far from Soderstrom, but So far, going after guys. I mean, Hood offered on the very first pitch he saw, and already ahead in the count here to Phillips, 0-2.
Yep, not messing around with the strike zone the way that his predecessor did. 0-2 almost gets an offer there from Dylan Phillips, but Phillips able to hold off. So the count is 1-2 here on the man Coach E affectionately refers to as Whammer out of the University of Kansas State. And Phillips certainly has earned the nickname if you look into some of his numbers in the purple and white. Here he'll take ball 2 off the plate. Count goes even at 2-2. Soderson still working out of the windup with the bases empty. 2-2 pitch on the way. That'll miss low. It's a full count here. Tim, we've only seen probably 2 or 3 counts that have not gotten the 2-2 or 3-2 in this entire game. Seems like every at bat on both sides has been a battle. Payoff pitch swung on and fouled away here by Phillips.
No, a lot of these at-bats have been battles, and the only counts that really haven't run full were those 4-pitch at-bats back in the first and second inning where Wilkham was able to quickly take pitches and just get on base really with no effort.
It's easy to walk quickly when the guy won't pitch to you. Here is strike 3. Strikeouts continuing to rack up here. Phillips didn't like it, but he'll walk back to the dugout empty-handed, 2 away.
And that's a couple times now here for Harwich where they're striking out looking. That's the 4th time in this game where they've struck out looking and really regretting a lot of these calls that end up bringing them up.
So the count does reset here for Jordan Beck, who was a strikeout victim his first time up. The second strikeout of the day for what ends up being a really weird day for Jack Noble. Get your final numbers on him here in just a moment. First pitch misses down and in. So Noble ends his day 1 2/3. He gives up 2 runs on 2 hits. He strikes out 5 guys, but he walks 4 and he hits a 5th. So not a great day, but fortunate that he only gives up those 2 runs, and that's currently the difference in this game as Soderson misses low. The count goes to 2-0.
Yeah, a lot of control issues from Noble today, but you said it, fortunate he only gave up the 2 runs against this Harwich lineup, especially when they were looming again in the second.
2-0 pitch. That's in there for a called strike. Count goes to 2-1. I want to throw a special shout out to the 3rd and 4th members of our media team today. Of course, Tim and I on the call, but Colin Casey handling all of our social media duties, and Chris Cassidy, of course, doing the production today. Both of them currently on double duty, also holding up the umbrellas. Also, a big shout out to our photographer, Matt Fisher, making his return from a vacation here. Great to be back at almost full strength. The only member of our media team not in action is Jared Weatherby, but I feel like we'll give him a free pass as this pitch misses down. That'll make it a full count here on Jordan Beck. Of course, Jared Weatherby currently in a training camp with the Philadelphia Phillies. No big deal.
Let it slide.
We'll issue him a pass this time. Here it's a full count. Payoff pitch on the way. And it's fouled off. We'll do it again. This one just tucks over the bleachers here at Spillane Field.
And yet another full count here, Tyler.
Yep, again, we've seen, I mean, this has been the theme of this game. A lot of full counts, but it seems to have favored the pitcher more often than not for both sides. Here comes another 3-2. And this one is fouled off the helmet of Crooks behind the plate. So another long at-bat worked here by the Mariners. It does feel like when you look at the numbers for this Wareham team, there is an alternate universe where Harwich does not have timely hitting, does not have the pitching staff that they do, and they look a lot like this Wareham team. These teams had similar numbers early in the season, but the Mariners have since gone on that big tear. Payoff pitch. This one swung on and lifted out to straightaway center field. Fergus has plenty of time to jog in and makes the catch for another 1-2-3 inning. So to the home half of inning number 3 we go. Harwich still up 2-0 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back here to Spillane Field. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. It'll be Jim Jarvis, Tress Gonzalez, and Tommy Troy due up here to face Spencer Giesting in the home half of the third. This isolated rain continues to fall. Nothing heavy enough to shut the game down right now, although I'm sure our officials are monitoring things right now. Giesting's first pitch is off the plate to Jarvis, and Giesting has fallen behind in a number of these at-bats. This ball is going to be laced off the glove of Putz. He got his leather on it, but ends up sending it into right field. Press Kavanaugh picks it up, and it's a leadoff single here for Jim Jarvis.
Yeah, just a hard hit ball by Jarvis. Tough for Putz to be able to keep a hold on it.
So Jim Jarvis aboard here, nobody out. Second time today that Wareham has had the leadoff man aboard, and I would have to consult the scorebook from 2019 or talk to a guy with a really good baseball memory sitting to my right, and Colin Casey. Might have that conversation here in between innings, but it seems like every time the Mariners come to Wareham, there's some kind of weather involved, albeit fog, rain, lightning. I mean, you name it, they find a way to delay these games. Right now, hoping that there's not enough precipitation to warrant a delay as Giesting gets the first pitch across to for a strike to Tress Gonzalez, but you never know. Sky's staying awfully dark. The 0-1 in there for strike two.
And luckily, Tyler, you and I not holding the umbrellas. So should lightning decide to strike?
They are plastic umbrellas, to be fair.
No.
But we are also in a large metal cage. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Here comes the 0-2 pitch from Giesting. That'll miss upstairs. Could be part of the reason why the netting is, well, netting rather than fencing. You never know. And fortunately, we do have a number of very tall metallic light poles around us that would likely absorb any hit, but hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened. Here's Giesting's 1-2. That's going to be taken out into right or left field, tracking it back, settling under it, and making the catch is Josh Hood for the first out. So that brings up Tommy Troy, who flied out to center his first time up. We do have our first final of the evening, and it is of the rain cancellation variety. Katuitt gets an early 6-0 win over the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, who we'll have to take a look and do the math, but could very well be 6-1. But that's a Hyannis team that could be mathematically eliminated from the playoffs this week. First pitch to Troy, breaking ball. Misses low for ball one.
And we're going to be seeing that. Granted, I don't think we'll see many more teams than Hyannis this week will be eliminated this upcoming week, but we're getting down there. We're less than 2 weeks away from the end of the season.
Pickoff move back to first, not in time. He'll have to focus on Troy now. And yeah, it's really getting to be crunch time for some of these teams, especially in an Eastern division that has just been, I mean, completely bunched up. Nobody really running away with it. But at the same time, even the teams that are falling behind have not fallen that far behind. Opportunity for a double play. They go right across from McDermott to Preisner to Putz. It's a 4-6-3 double play, and the Mariners get out of the inning. To the fourth we go. Still a 2-0 lead for Harwich when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Folian. Turn it over to Tim now for the next 3 innings of play-by-play. Tim, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. On the mound still for the Gateman, Blake Soderston. So far has thrown an inning and a third in relief of Jack Noble. Leading off this inning for the Mariners, shortstop Zach Preisner struck out looking to end the first inning. He fouls the 0-1 pitch off over the first base dugout, count now 0-2. Still spitting here at Spillane Field. Trying to keep an eye on the radar. We have a game delayed due to rain. Get to that in a moment as the 0-2 pitch is fouled off. Orleans and Bourne, they are currently delayed due to rain. That game was 1-1 when it was put in a delay. So everything east of us has seen some kind of delay, or at least the 2 games that have been affected by weather. The 0-2 pitch that misses up high, count 1-2.
Yep, and then a final out from Stony Brook Field. The Brewster Whitecaps get a 3-1 victory over the Chatham A's. Falmouth leading at 2-0 on the Whitey Red Sox in the top of the 7th. That's big for Harwich. And of course here it's 2-0 as well in favor of the Mariners.
1-2 pitch. This one's pulled out into center field. That's going to get down. Preisner digs for second. He goes about halfway before having to run back to first. And they got him! Preisner slow on the hustle back to first base upon deciding not to go to second. And a nice throw from Jim Jarvis at short was able to get Preisner at the bag. He had a single, but could not get back to first base in time.
And I'm not 100% sure how you score that. I don't know if you, I think he still gets credit for the single, but he didn't reach the next base. So gets thrown out from center on a base hit.
Certainly one, as the first pitch to Matt McDermott is fouled back. Certainly one that, as this game is still tight, 2-0, comes down to it. You get the leadoff guy on like that, but you're unable to keep him on due to some base running. You wonder how that one could come back to bite you. The 0-1 count. Big cut and a miss from McDermott. He's already struck out once so far in this game, looking to avoid doing so twice on this next pitch.
And when you take that turn for second, typically it's very easy to think that you're going to safely be able to turn around, but he took such a wide turn. He had some distance to cover to get back to the bag.
1 hopper, 2 hopper into the second baseman's glove. Throw on to first in time for out number 2. 2 away now as he moved back to the top of the lineup. And just to talk a bit about that play one more time with Preisner, it was a ball that was getting towards the gap in left center field, but there's a lot of space out there. To his credit, seems like there's a lot of time to be able to move down to the second bag, but it was heads-up play by Owen Diodati, I believe, in the left, who cut it off and made a nice throw into Jarvis, who then had the know-how to throw it on to first. New batter, Press Kavanaugh, takes the first pitch, called strike.
Yeah, quick update. The game out in Bourne has now been delayed due to lightning. Player's been called off the field there, so I believe the game in Falmouth and the game here are the 2 westernmost games in the Cape League, the only 2 games currently active in the CCBL.
0-1 pitch, misses down low, 1-1. And that's interesting because typically when we see weather-related delays, you'll see the entire West gets canceled and then the East follows suit. But here we are, the westernmost game tonight, and we are still in full swing. Have not had a single delay yet.
And that's huge for the Mariners because they hold a lead right now, and they're only about an inning and a half away from making this thing official.
That would be important. Of course, the delay does not mean the end of the game. 2-1 pitch is fouled off. Count goes to 2-2.
Especially with the lights here at Spillane. They could definitely wait it out for 30 minutes if there's lightning or however long it takes for the rain to clear off. But so far, so good.
And they will wait.
Yep.
Teams have waited this year. 2-2 pitch is fouled off, pulled to that first base side. Still 2-2.
And notably, these teams have waited at this very location.
Yes, of course, did have that lightning delay last time we were here at Spillane. The 2-2. This one hit into the outfield. One hop into the glove of Fergus, and Kavanaugh not going to go around first nearly as far as Preisner did. He'll hold up at the bag.
Yep, so a knock for Press Kavanaugh, and again, this is the part of the lineup that's been making Harwich their money as of late. We'll get Tatum Levins now, Brock Wilkin if they can get to him with 2 away. And Harwich has been in a position to deal damage in this game, but a lot of the time, it's come with 2 outs.
So this will bring up Tatum Levens. He's gotten on twice so far today, both with walks. Leads the Mariners in walks now with 18 with the 2 he's accumulated today. Looking to get on base again, help move Press Kavanaugh around. Pickoff attempt over at first, and Kavanaugh's ruled safe, but a couple of moans coming out from the crowd here, as well as the Wareham dugout. A close play at the bag as Kavanaugh was able to slip back. Levens still awaiting his first pitch here. Sodersten delivers. Finds its way on the outside part of the plate for a ball. And right as that ball was coming in, a dog started barking. Gonna have to check the affiliation of that pup. Make sure there's no foul play. It's the 1-0 pitch. Ball sliced back, count moves to 1-1.
I mean, again, I'm telling you, this game has just had a weird vibe to it throughout the entirety of it. I mean, every at-bat has been a lengthy at-bat. Both teams have gotten a lot of guys on, but haven't scored a lot of guys. I mean, it's just been kind of a strange, unique game. You know, enough rain to keep things wet and be a little annoying for the players, not enough to go into a full-blown delay.
The 1-2 pitch skips in the dirt, 2-1. Kavanaugh goes for second. He'll get there easily. He'll take a swim in the gravel as he moves down to second.
Well, of course, that's we have to mention it every time we come to Spillane Field at least once. The gravel infield has wrought its wrath upon a number of pairs of baseball pants. Kavanaugh may have to swap out for a new one after this game.
Yeah, would not be surprised to learn there's a new hole on the front of those pants as a result. It's a 2-1 count here to Levens. Got a man in scoring position now thanks to the stolen base from Press Kavanaugh. This ball skied up, heading back towards left. Kavanaugh running around, 2 outs in the inning. Catch is made by Owen Diodati in left. Nobody comes home to score, but Harwich still leads it 2-0. We'll move to the bottom of the 4th inning. Don't go too far. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to baseball here at Spillane Field. Mariners fans, for sales and rentals of Caterpillar machinery, generators, and marine engines, visit MiltonCat.com, your area cat dealer. Milton Cat, the Cape and Islands Caterpillar dealer, is proud to be a sponsor of today's game. Welcome into the bottom of the 4th inning here, leading it off for the gateman, Owen Diodati, the man to make the catch out in left field to end the inning, and who can be credited on somewhat of a assist on the play that helped to get Zach Preisner out at first as he had thought about rounding to second. He falls behind in the count here, 0-1.
Yeah, I got classic hockey assist, if you will. Just about. But certainly had a big hand in the out.
0-1 pitch, misses up high. It's 1-1. Spencer Giesting still on the mound for Harwich. He's working on his 4th inning here, so far. And Tyler, as he sails the 1-1 pitch just high. 2-1 count now. What have you seen from Giesting here today?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he just hasn't had that same confidence. I don't know if it's so much an issue with control, but he has not been filling up the zone, which is something a lot of Harwich pitchers do. He could strike across here, but he's started behind more hitters than he's gotten ahead of to start these counts, and he's had to kind of battle his way back. And as a result, guys have seen pretty good pitches on him. They squared it up well, but his defense has done a good job of picking them up.
2-2 pitch. That will miss up high, and a full count once again, as we've become accustomed to seeing here today.
Yep, seems like every couple of at-bats, you get a 3-2.
The 3-2. Swing and a miss. Down goes Diodati. Strikeout number 4 for Spencer Giesting opens up the 4th inning with a K.
And to be fair to Spencer Giesting, for whatever issues he's had falling behind, it hasn't really affected anything in the long run. He's given up 2 hits, or correction, he's given up 3 hits, but most importantly, he hasn't walked anybody so far. He also has no hit batters. So things have been very good in that respect.
Yohandy Morales takes a first pitch ball, low and inside. Second pitch, that is in for a called strike count, now 1-1 to Yohandy Morales. So far, Spencer Giesting, this next pitch here about to be pitch number 50. It's hit on the ground. Preisner trying to charge at it, takes a few hops, gets up the middle. Safe on first is going to be Morales.
Yep, just a classic instance of hit them where they ain't. And that's really all it took. Up the middle, not quite slow enough to get to Giesting, not quite slow enough for Preisner to get over to it. And once again, runner aboard here for the Gatemen with 1 away.
And Preisner does have some speed, but that ball really just hit in a perfect spot where neither he nor McDermott at second were able to get to it with enough time. Jimmy Crooks now steps in for the Gatemen. With 1 out, he's got a man on first. Going for second now is the runner Morales. Throw gets into the outfield. Morales is going to be safe on second. Count that as a stolen base for Yohandy Morales.
And that was a really aggressive jump that Morales got that time. Levens, to his credit, kept it in front of him, but it bounced so hard off his chest plate he had to run up and try to make a throw on the run.
So Wareham trying to manufacture some runs here as we continue to move through the game. Have not gotten anything across. They've left 2 in scoring position so far today, back in the first and second inning. Jimmy Crooks struck out swinging his last time up. He's got a 1-0 count dealt to him right now. Rain starting to pick up a little bit here at Spillane Field. A little more consistent. We can finally see it. Could not necessarily see it beforehand. The 1-0. That's going to miss high, count now 2-0.
And it's really, I mean, again, it's just enough to be obnoxious, but it's certainly not enough at this juncture to postpone the game in any way, which means, unfortunately, for Spencer Giesting, he's got to go out there and do everything he can to try to keep a grip on this baseball. And to be fair to him as well, I mean, that may be part of the reason we've seen him struggle with control, but it was early in the innings as well.
2-0 pitch, that's going to miss again, and now that's 3 straight balls here thrown by Giesting to Jimmy Crooks.
Yep, and that'll prompt Levens to come out and have a word with his pitcher. Wants to talk this over.
Don't want to give Wareham any momentum here. Morales standing on second after the stolen base. You would have Cameron James, who is on deck, had a single in his last at-bat. A hit here if your Jimmy Crooks likely helps to drive in Yohandy Morales. Trying to get on the board for the first time here tonight. Giesting comes set. Stares back to second base, looks in, and delivers. That pitch will miss outside, so it's a 4-pitch walk for Jimmy Crooks. He will move down to first base. Morales will stay on second, and this brings up the third baseman, Cameron James.
Yep, and with a name like Cameron James, you get the feeling he knows a little something about production.
Something like that. As fresh count, of course, to the third baseman here, Giesting. He'll stare in. James, as mentioned, had a single in his first at-bat back in the second inning. The first pitch to him, that's going to miss outside, 1-0.
It's 5 consecutive pitches outside of the zone here. Giesting just needs to settle in. And again, I mean, it's not easy. It's easier said than done. I'm not the one out there trying to grip a baseball in the middle of the rain, but just trying to bounce back here, get a quick out. Double play certainly an option. That would help you here. He's already turned 1 with his middle infield so far.
And that ball is going to miss inside. Tatum Levens crossed up a bit on that one. A nice adjustment, though, to hold on to it instead of allowing it to get to the backstop. Could have been disastrous for Harwich. Would have allowed runners on second and first to move up to third and second, respectively. 2-0 pitch. That will find the strike zone. Now 2-1 here. Has been an interesting outing for Giesting. He's allowed just 2 hits so far. That last batter, the first one he's walked. But it always has felt like there's been an element of danger in each of these innings. As the 2-1 pitch misses down low, it's now 3-1.
Yeah, at any point, I mean, guys have been ready to go. And they've had opportunities to drive in runs. Both teams have. Looks like Harwich is getting Nick Stewart up and warming the bullpen. Of course, the James Madison product who played for the Mariners back in 2019. Potentially set to make his debut for the Mariners here in 2021.
Been some time since we've seen him. 3-1 pitch will find its way in for a called strike. It'll be interesting to see what he has. Of course, Giesting still on the mound. It is still his game for the time being. Got a full count here, dealt to Cameron James. Trying to record the second out of the inning. Make it a lot harder for Wareham to try to move these runners around the bases. On deck is Kellum Clark. Giesting, the full count pitch. Chopped off towards the Gateman dugout. We'll do it again.
And we've seen a lot of guys that played for Harwich back in 2019 were, solid to, average guys, but then they come back in 2021 and they just look completely different and for the better. And I think the best instance of that is Evan Shaver, a guy that very quickly went from a guy who was cut early by the Harwich Mariners in 2019 to a top 6 or 7 round draft pick here in the 2021 draft. The first guy off the board, past or present, for the Harwich Mariners.
3-2 pitch, in for a called strike 3. That's strikeout number 5 for Spencer Giesting. 2 outs now in the inning.
Yep, and again, I mean, this is what Spencer Giesting needed, a good bounce-back performance. But his 2 best performances so far this season have been his 2 starts at this point in the year. So, it's kind of an interesting call when you look at the numbers to have him in the rotation. But if that's where he's most comfortable, then you want to get his innings in where he feels good. And so far, it's worked for the Mariners. They hold a 2-run lead, 1 more out, and he's out of the inning.
It's a very different mentality you have to have as a starter as opposed to a reliever. That's the first pitch to Kellum Clark. Misses down low. It's 1-0. Of course, as a starter, you're aware all day. You go through your routines. You know that it's your game to open things up, and you have to take it from there. But a reliever, you don't know when you'll go in. It could be the first inning. If things go awry, you might not get in if a guy throws a complete game, or you could get put in a bases-loaded jam late in the game and have to throw your way out of it. And some guys thrive in those kind of environments where you don't know what's going to happen. The 1-0 pitch is in for a called strike, 1-1.
Yeah, plenty of guys that do like the unpredictability of the bullpen, but there are others that really don't, and that's important because, again, you have to have a different mentality to be prepared to come in any of those situations that you just listed. Whereas if you're the starter, you know from the time you wake up in the morning what you can expect to start a game.
1-1 pitch, misses down low, count now 2-1.
And this is a big batter for Giesting to try to get. You don't want to load the bases, but with 2 away, just 1 more out gets you out of this inning. So anything he can do to try to find a way to retire Kellum Clark for the 2nd time today.
Giesting comes set, stares back towards Morales on second. Crooks still stands on first, the 2-1. That's in for a called strike, now 2-2. Giesting a pitch away from getting out of the inning.
He's had that off-speed working well today. The fastball has been what he's struggled to locate, but he's been able to utilize the off-speed to his advantage. Just needs 1 more strike or 1 more out here, and the Mariners are out of inning number 4.
Comes set once more. The pitch. Chopped foul. And we'll do it again.
And you really do wonder. I mean, obviously the high school building right behind us, or at least a building near the high school, a lot of exposed glass windows. Wonder how many times that's become an issue. Or maybe they're reinforced. You never know. After a number of years, they may have gone for a stronger material.
Yeah, you fork up more up front, ultimately pays off in the long run. 2-2 count here. Geesting looking for the punch out. He got it. Strikeout number 6 for Spencer Geesting, gets himself out of a bit of a jam. We move now to the top of the 5th inning. Harwich still leading 2-0 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back into Spillane Field here. Brock Wilkin to lead it off for the Mariners here in the top of the 5th inning. So far today, Wilkin still looking for his first official at-bat. He has been walked twice, come around to score in one of those appearances on the base paths. Again, he is second on the team in walks. Has done an excellent job of intimidating pitchers and doing so once again here, already ahead in the count 2-0. Thanks to Blake Soderstrom.
I mean, that's what happens when you lead the or when you lead the league in slugging percentage. Guys don't want to throw the ball in the zone. They don't want to give you something meaty to hit.
2-0 pitch does find a way into the strike zone. 2-1 now.
But on the other side of it, if you never get a pitch to hit, I mean, again, it's a thing with Wilkin where that's the first pitch in the zone I believe he's seen today.
The 2-1. And this one going to be a one-hopper into the chest of Troy. Bobbles it. Throw it on the first is still in time. One away here in the 5th inning.
Feels like that's the fastest at bat we've seen in about 4 innings. We'll see if that trend continues here. I'm sure that's what Wareham would like right now with Carter Putz at the plate. Already 1 for 2 today.
Did have a single back in the 1st inning. Got as far as third base. And I'd have to agree with you there, Tyler. It certainly did feel like the fastest at-bat of the game so far. First pitch seen by Putz. He'll foul it off himself. Went off of that left foot, it seems. Third base coach Mark Tebow making his way over towards Putz at home, trying to make sure he's all right.
Yeah, that never feels good as a hitter, obviously. Insult to injury that it ends up resulting in a strike as well. So you're behind in the count, and now you're hurting us. The trainer will come out and have a look at him here. Those cleats are awfully tough, though.
He is not wearing any ankle protector, though, and I think that's right about where he just reached when trying to describe the pain.
Looks like he'll be left in for now. A lot of confidence. Obviously not a guy you want to pull from the lineup. Harwich is already without the services of Chris, Newell tonight after he was removed from that YD game with some discomfort.
That's something that Harwich is certainly going to want back soon, as the 0-1 pitch is in for a called strike, and now Putz here behind 0-2.
And that's another guy who is effectively a cleanup hitter for your team. So if you are counting Dylan Phillips, that's 3 leadoff guys and 5 cleanup hitters that you could throw in one lineup all at once. Not bad.
This ball's going to be fouled back. Count will remain at 0-2. Certainly not bad at all, and a lot of credit to this Harwich Mariners staff for really figuring out where everybody slots in the lineup, and it has looked really efficient. I mean, we've seen a lot of games lately where guys have really popped off and had excellent games, and you have to feel it's because of the composition of the lineup and where guys slot in. As Putz stares at a pitch that just misses the plate high, it's 1-2.
Well, if you want to play the ultimate version of this game, Tim, you could also make the argument there's only one guy with a higher on-base percentage, albeit in a smaller sample size than Press Kavanaugh. That's Brendan Tinsman.
1-2 pitch is swung on and missed. That will sit Putz down 2 away now here in the top of the 5th inning.
Brendan Tinsman getting on base this year at a .538 clip through the course of his first 3 games in the red and white.
Another guy who's been excellent. We're talking about McDermott, who's at second today, and Phillips, who's the designated hitter. As Josh Hood tries to square up. First pitch he sees, it is foul back behind the John H. Wild press box here at Spillane Field. But Tinsman, the catcher who was brought in and tasked with replacing Aaron McKeithen, has done a nice job, as you mentioned, Tyler. Those are really the 3 of the guys that we've seen so far for Harwich who have really made immediate impacts in what they've been able to do for this team. The 0-1 pitch. That one's going to miss. It's 1-1 now.
And again, I mean, it is crunch time here down the stretch. You got to have your best guys in at all times, especially with the shortened playoff this year. Only 2 teams out of the East making it instead of the traditional 4.
1-1 pitch swung on and missed. Now a 1-2 count with 2 outs. Soderstrom a strike away from trying to record his second 1-2-3 inning. Time called here by Josh Hood. Will try to square it up, slow down this at bat. This has been the quickest inning so far, as Wilkin had a quick at bat, then Putz went down swinging. Josh Hood trying to prolong things a little bit. The 1-2 gets a piece of it, sends it back to the backstop. Count remains at 1-2.
And that's kind of the aggressiveness that makes a guy like Josh Hood great. But at the same time, you do see him, similar to Wilkin, fall behind in a number of counts when guys aren't trying to pitch around him.
Soderstrom winds up for the 1-2. That one's going to be down at the shins of Josh Hood. Count now goes to 2-2. Another lengthier at bat here. A couple fouls so far from Hood. He's drawn a few balls to this point. Now winding up for the 2-2. That's just going to miss. Wareham dugout not too happy with that call. Count now runs full, 3-2.
And they voiced their discomfort a couple of times on some of these calls. Trailing by 2 on the scoreboard will do that.
3-2 pitch. Hood gets a piece of it, sends it out to the outfield, but a diving catch made by Cade Fergus running in from center field. Tracked it coming into his right, made a nice diving catch to help Blake Soderstrom get out of the inning. 1-2-3, down they go. Harwich still leads it 2-0. We move to the bottom of the 5th. Back in a minute. You are listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back into the Splain Field here in wonderful Wareham, Massachusetts. A new pitcher on the mound for the Mariners. It's Nick Stewart, the righty, making his debut out of James Madison. And going down on the bunt attempt was Cade Fergus. Went down to his knees, but apparently pulled it back in time as he's able to draw the ball. 1-0.
Yeah, not 100% sure how that works, but Nick Stewart, a guy you actually have a pretty good personal connection with. Go ahead and turn it over to you for that.
As the 1-0 pitch finds its way in for a called strike, now 1-1. Yes, of course, back in 2019, my origin story with the Mariners, or at least part of it, was that I was a game day intern yelling out at fans to purchase 50-50 raffle tickets, and one of the bullpen guys I went around yelling at people with was this very man, Nick Stewart. Him and Jacob Polish, each of them went around with me, going around selling 50-50 raffle tickets, had a good old summer, raised some money for the team, and now here we have Nick Stewart back on the bump for the Mariners. Great personality, great guy who's going to fit right in with the way this team has operated so far this season. 2-1 pitch. That's going to get past Wilkin at third as it's cracked on the ground. Cade Fergus rounds first, goes for second base. Throw to the bag, not in time. It's a leadoff double for Cade Fergus.
Yep, and that's pretty much what we've seen out of Wareham this entire game. They've found ways to get guys on. They've found ways to get them in scoring position. Haven't brought anybody around to score yet, but Stewart just going to have to settle in here and try to look for a bounce back. Of course, the other guy that you mentioned, Jacob Polish, made the decision a couple of days ago to take his talents down to Texas. He'll be a member of the Texas A&M Aggies, transferring from Stanford for a graduate year. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up going in next year's draft after making the decision to return for another year.
And unsurprising to me that he's going for a graduate year. Very smart man. Always cared about his studies. Of course, a Stanford product. The bunt laid down perfectly along that third base line. Jim Jarvis, he could lead a clinic on how to bunt. That thing was quite literally perfect. Down the third base line, nothing the Mariners could do but watch that thing roll as Fergus moves down to third and Jarvis is safe on first.
It started to actually tiptoe the line, and with the grass lip there, if it gets on the right side of it, it's going to roll into foul territory. That's what Nick Stewart was counting on. Of course, the difference between this game and the last game at Spillane Field, the third base line in a straight line. So a great move here and a great bunt puts runners at the corners with one away. Or nobody out.
Certainly nobody out. First two guys each getting on here for Wareham. This brings up Tres Gonzalez. 1 for 2 so far today with a double and a spot here where he can drive in some runs. And just to give the folks at home an idea, I feel like typically what we'll see at a ballpark is the third and first base foul lines will go right down the dirt that leads out from home plate to first and third respectively. But here the chalk lines are right on the grass in between that dirt and the grass in the infield. So an interesting setup here. Nonetheless, even if it were closer towards the dugouts, those foul lines, it would have still stayed fair. It's a 2-0 count here to Tres Gonzalez. Stewart behind in the count. Trying to record his first out still. Stares in, nods, takes a look over at Jarvis on first, steps off the rubber, and will set himself once more.
Tim, you were talking about the academic capabilities of Jacob Polish, and unlike some other Stanford quote-unquote student athletes, we can vouch for his athletic abilities.
Yes, certainly so. As the 2-0 pitch, that's going to miss down low. Now 3-0.
Yeah, tough spot right now for Nick Stewart. He needs a couple of bounce-back pitches here, and a strikeout would go a long way. I mean, again, if you get the strikeout, you can end the inning with a double play or try to find a way to get out of here unscathed. Still got a 2-run lead, but you do have that tying run standing on first.
Stewart looks over at Jarvis on first once again. Steps in, gets ready to deliver, and does. Finds its way in for a strike. Count now 3-1 here to Gonzalez.
Yep, and Stewart, one of the latest arrivals here to this 2021 edition of the Harwich Mariners. A couple of guys trickling in here at the very tail end.
Three 3-1 count. This ball chopped up. Josh Hood tries to run over to make a play. That will land foul. Josh Hood slowing down at right about the goal post that stands in foul territory here at Spillane Field.
I think that ball just about hooked through it. I don't know if you get awarded 3 runs for a field goal if you hook one through the goal posts in play or what the situation is there, but
so now it's a 3-2 count after the foul adds another strike. Stewart looking for his first out of his appearance here so far. The pitch. Slice back foul. Jim Jarvis was heading for second. He'll have to move back.
yep, runner tried to go from second. Wareham trying to stay aggressive here on the base paths.
Stewart comes set. And the pitch. That's in. Called strike 3. Tres Gonzalez thought he had it. Instead, he will go down looking. That is strikeout number 1 for Nick Stewart.
Yeah, and that's huge for Stewart, but also Wareham's got to be careful. They've been kind of jawing at the home plate umpire from that dugout this entire game, and that is not something these Cape League umps take too kindly to. So you wonder how much longer the leash is there. As the frustration starting to mount, you get the feeling the only thing that would solve that frustration would be some runs, which Wareham has a chance to drive in, but they've stranded a lot of runners already in this one.
Double play, now an opportunity to get out of the inning if you're Harwich. Jarvis goes for second, ball hit on the ground. Preisner grabs it, runner going for home will score, but the throw at first is in time to get Troy. It's now 2-1 as Cade Fergus was able to scramble across home.
Yeah, and that's a perfectly executed hit and run there. They knew that they were in a position where they could have the inning ended, so they figured they'd roll the dice, and it works to perfection. That ball hit well enough to Preisner. It likely would have been 2 for the Mariners. Instead, nothing happens.
Yeah, an excellently executed hit and run there, as now steps Owen Diodati. First pitch misses down low. It's been a tough going day for Diodati so far. He's struck out twice in each of his 2 at-bats. Diodati, a bat that these gatemen rely on heavily. He does strike out often, though. Second on the team in strikeouts coming into today at 26. Ball chopped on the ground right at the second baseman, McDermott. One hop throw on to Putz at first, and the inning will end. Down goes Diodati. Wareham does add another one. Cade Fergus came home on the ground out to short by Tommy Troy. Now 2-1 Harwich. We'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to baseball here at Spillane Field. Dylan Phillips leading it off for the Mariners. It'll be the 6, 7, and 8 batters due up. We'll also see Jordan Beck, Zach Preisner in this inning. First pitch dealt to Phillips is a called strike. Still on the mound for Wareham is Blake Soderstrom, as Phillips offers a big swing and now falls behind in the count 0-2. Now for Soderstrom, so far in this game, he has pitched 3 1/3 innings, and he's looked pretty good so far as he winds up for the 0-2 pitch. Just misses on the outside part of the plate. Count now 1-2. Now Tyler, after Noble had a relatively short outing, giving up 2 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, Soderstrom's come in and he's been pretty steady for them. As the 1-2 misses inside, now 2-2.
Yeah, I mean, we saw his numbers. He has the potential to be kind of that classic long reliever, if you will, and every team needs a guy or two like this that can come into a game and kind of clean up the mess that's sometimes left behind by a quick, tough start.
2-2 pitch is popped up by Phillips. Coming back to get it, Cameron James, but it's Owen Diodati who charges in to make the catch. 1 away in the top of the 6th inning.
And as a game, it really does just kind of feel like this has been really just kind of a slog here. We haven't seen a lot of offense, but we've seen a lot of guys get on. We've seen a lot of long at-bats. We've had that kind of consistent drizzle coming in from overhead. And, I mean, really no fireworks in this game. A couple of runs have come across the score, but that's really been all there's been to speak of.
First pitch to Jordan Beck. He fans on it. Actually, may have gotten a piece of it. It's not neither way. It's 0-1.
Yeah, and it's... I mean, again, if the score holds, if it ends up being a 2-1 game, this does kind of feel like it'd be a good win for Harwich, but it almost feels more like a filler episode in the season.
The 0-1's fouled off, now 0-2. It really has been an odd game, so to speak. There's just something in the air that is making this a weird atmosphere at the moment. 0-2 count here. Of course, part of it, we've seen a lot of long at-bats, as we've mentioned, time and time. The 0-2 pitch here from Soderstrom. Beck will foul it off. Takes a bounce back to the backstop. Count stays at 0-2.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of long at-bats, but again, neither team has really been able to do a whole lot with it. Harwich obviously stranding the bases loaded back in the 1st inning. They stranded 1st and 2nd in the 2nd inning, and then a runner on 2nd in that 5th. And on the other side of it, Wareham hasn't exactly been moving guys around and in a timely order either.
0-2 pitch misses down low, 1-2.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it doesn't have the offense of a back and forth game, but it also hasn't really felt like a pitcher's duel.
Yeah, I think that's largely what it is. It has not felt like a pitcher's duel. It's precisely because we've seen a lot of the defense doing the work, it feels. And the offense really just hasn't been going either. These are 2 excellent pitching staffs, both Wareham and Harwich, as the 1-2 pitch. Beck tries to check his swing, but called strike 3. He cannot believe it. He'll turn around, head back towards the dugout, and that's out number 2, and Beck is in disbelief right now.
I mean, look, it's been bad, but it's been consistently bad on both sides. It's been a rough night for the home plate umpire. And again, I mean, many of you have tuned in all season long. We do not go after umpires very often, but this has been something.
So now in steps Zach Preisner. He's struck out once, and he, of course, was thrown out last inning on the play, or not last inning, pardon me, back in the 4th inning on the play where he hit a ball into the outfield. As the 0-1 pitch finds its way in for a called strike, now 0-2. He hit a ball into the outfield. It was thrown into the shortstop, and as Preisner thought he had enough time to head for second, he did not. So about halfway to second, he turned around, but got picked off at first on the relay from the outfield as he was turning around. The 0-2 pitch misses low and away. It's now 1-2. Soderstrom trying to complete another 1-2-3 inning of work. The 3rd and 5th were 1-2-3. Here in the 6th inning, the at-bat stays alive for Zach Preisner, and a lot of moans and groans on either side here as the count now moves to 2-2.
And there have been about, I think, 3 balls hit to the fence today, but most of the hits in this game have just been little dribblers that have just gotten either up the middle or down one of the 2 baselines in this game.
Of course, 4 singles for Harwich as this ball's fouled off, and 4 wide D to this, for Wareham to this point. It's only been 4 singles and a double. So not a whole lot of extra base hitting in this one.
I guess to kind of try to close the book on the thought that we've been circling around trying to find the right words for, this feels like the most average baseball game that we've seen.
2-2 pitch is skied up. Cade Fergus comes over to make the catch. He will. And the inning ends. 1-2-3, down they go. It'll be McDermott, Kavanaugh, Levens next time around for the Mariners. But for now, we move to the bottom of the 6th inning. Harwich still leads it 2-1 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network.